Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's May 26, 2024, Memorial Day weekend, and I guess I should just start off by saying it's a good time. Besides all the celebrations, the parades, and all of those events that go on, Memorial Day weekend, or the Memorial Holiday, is really meant to remember those who have fought for our country and lost their lives. It's important to remember our soldiers, the nurses, the military aid workers, rescue workers, everyone, and certainly all of those who have lost their lives in the war. Wouldn't it be great if we just could stop having wars? I know that's completely out of the question, but it'd be really neat to do that. So anyways, today's video, what I wanted to do was tell you about an experience I had the day before yesterday, and it was with the Avant 860i. So as I mentioned in my intro to the 860i, and this is a mini articulated wheel loader, which has over 200 attachments that can be purchased or probably rented to hook onto the unit. And I'll be going over some of those in the future, the ones that I'll be using and potentially buying. But I guess I should start off with, I first saw this unit, or one exactly like it, when Outdoors with the Morgans, Mike Morgan, rented one for a week. And Mark, the district representative for the Northeast coast in the United States, was on his channel and all, and I saw that and I thought, wow, this looks like a pretty interesting unit. Then I started doing some online research on the unit, and of course on YouTube there's a bunch of videos with this, but there are a couple of videos where they're talking about how stable these units are because of the articulation, because of the way that the wheels really don't break traction and tear up your lawn. But that low center of gravity and being able to work on slopes, and a couple of the videos they actually had, I think it was the 500 series unit, not the 800 series unit, with the rollover protection, not the full cab. So a little more body heavy, lower. The center of gravity is obviously lower in a non-cab unit. But the guy was on a slope, you know, at one of the, like a field days or a farm and tractor show, and the unit was going on along the side of a bank, and then a couple of guys came out and grabbed out hold of the side of it, the downhill side, and were pulling on it and trying to tip it over. And I was very, very impressed with that because we've got lots of slopes on our property. So the long story short, the day before yesterday, I had to move some wood chips up into the second food forest, and there's a couple of slopes that I had to go around, and I'll go up there and show you what it looks like up there. Hold on. Okay, we're up here in the front yard, and over there is where we have the wood chip delivery guy come and drop the chips when he's got a load and all. And so, I did do a tour not too long ago about the second food forest and all. And so I have been spreading out wood chips in this small section of the food forest. Now, when I built this road this driveway years ago, there was a nice crown, and the soil in the little lower parts of the driveway has built up over time because grass has grown there. But you may be able to appreciate it drops off down here, and this is where, when the water runs off, there's actually a little bit of a swale coming down. It's actually a spillway going from swale to swale, but as the water runs off the road, runs into this section, and then runs down here around this pillar here and works its way down here in this swale. And and then the water drains that way. So what I was doing with the green machine, the articulated mini loader, was I was coming from the driveway here, and this slope you really tip this way quite a bit, and you're turning and going around here and then extending the boom out here and depositing the wood chips all along there. Then I'll go through later on with my pitchfork and just sort of smooth them out. But really want to get organic layer on top of all of the areas that are bare ground, or get a cover crop into the area. Now I know it doesn't look like much of a on camera, but there is a significant slope down here as we get down here. So where the hazelnuts are planted right there, we're 4 feet lower here and about 6 feet lower up there than the hazelnuts up there, because of the way that the slope goes down. And I realize it doesn't show up that well on camera, but you can get an idea. Here's the level ground on this side and the depth. And that unit, and I may put some footage in and just dub over it of me being inside the cab with a 360 camera in it so you could see around. So I really wanted to get used to the articulating how you steer the unit, because when you steer a tractor or a track loader or an excavator, when you steer it and turn the wheel or turn the tracks in a certain direction, you know where the bucket or anything out in front of the vehicle is going. However, it's almost like when you're backing up, when you articulate, if you go to turn your wheel to the left, the way that the back end turns so much, you're possibly going to bang into something that's on the front of the equipment if you're very close to it. So when I was putting the wood chips in between all these areas, I was just trying to get used to it and be careful so I wasn't going to do any damage. And so I successfully accomplished that, which anybody who's been using a wheel loader for any time would say it's child's play. But getting in it and actually doing this and having this piece of equipment going sideways down here and then turning and then backing up and going the opposite direction, I'm impressed. That would have tipped over at my B2601, that's Mini Me, or Optimus Maximus, or Optimus Prime, my old Case 995, I would have tipped right over. And although you should always carry your loads when you're carrying wood chips or soil or anything in your bucket or extending out a log, you really want to keep the load as low to the ground and as close to you as possible. But with this 860i, even doing this, I was able to extend the boom out, raise the boom up with the bucket on it full of chips. And now chips aren't as heavy as stone or other materials, but I was so impressed how stable that was, how secure I felt going around there. So I'm sold on the Avant 860i at this point. So I may add some video footage. It doesn't display the slope here that well, no more than this. But when you actually feel it, it's very, very impressive. So those, although they were probably staged videos where the guys, you know, they knew how stable it was, and they had guys trying to tip the unit over by leaning off the side and pulling on the rollover protection cage while the equipment was on its side. That was impressive, and it's real. So very stable on slopes. Super impressed. The only other piece of equipment that really seemed that stable was the Ventrac, which is an interesting, looks like the old large lawnmowers, but they often have dual wheels on all four, so 8 wheels instead of 4 wheels on a 4-wheel drive unit. So, but that couldn't do what this Avant 860i can do. And very few people probably need one this big. I mean, like I said, they have several series of them. 200, 400, 500, 6, 7, and 800 series, and they have the electric one as well. So, you know, in the right circumstances, I used to say the order in which I would get equipment based on the type of work you have to do. That might change in the future based on my experiences so far with this. We'll have to see. I'm just pretty impressed with this Avant 860i. So that's it for this video. There might be a little bit of a section of the 360 video with a little bit of me talking over it. And I think that about takes care of it. Thanks so much for watching. Let's honor those who have fought and lost, and honor those who serve today, and hope that someday in the future there won't need to be men and women serving in the military to fight in wars. They can do other activities. Take care now, folks, and stay safe. Bye-bye. So I have been using the Avant 860i for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, actually doing what I'm doing right here. So I've got the 360 Insta 360 camera hooked up just above my head, and you'll see how I'm working it and all. So right now I'm just using it as a simple loader. Didn't get quite a full bucket, but that's okay. Just repositioning. And the ability with the 360 camera, not only do you see just straight ahead, I can adjust the camera so that, like this, so that we can look at what the articulation with the rear end is doing as I'm backing up. So as you can imagine there, as I'm backing up to my left, the bucket can swing pretty significantly as well. And although it looks like I'm bouncing around it quite a bit, it's very comfortable inside of this cab. So going up onto the driveway, and then I'll dip down into the swale and go on a bit of an angle down here. It somewhat levels off up here higher on the slope, but the slope becomes more of a steeper angle as I will turn to the right up here. So I'm just trying to get used to the articulation on this so that when I'm turning, I'm not bumping into things. I know where things are in space. And so now my back end is still turned towards the other way, extending the boom out, raising it up. I'm pointed downhill. This would tip my tractor forward, typically. And I can control it pretty darn well. Bring the boom back a little bit, tip the bucket forward, and of course the windshield wiper happens to be right in the direction. And you can see there's glass. They've got a glass window just above that area as well. That's the box there is the windshield wiper driver motor there. And unfortunately it doesn't really show the slope that we're on. Hopefully in the previous part of this video you could appreciate the slope. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and go to another spot. It feels so stable. I'm just blown away by how well this is working. So you can see just the angle of the rear end back there as I'm moving forward. Now the hydraulic stick, the joystick that I'm operating with my right hand, that's electronics over hydraulic. So it's pretty brisk, not as brisk. I'd like it to be a little bit more brisk. And you see the articulation of the rear end as I'm going there. So pull down into more of a normal looking camera angle. But it's deceptive. You can't really appreciate the slope that there is there. Now this is where two slopes merge together here. And you know, you look at the lawn. This four-wheeled unit, although it's only two-wheel drive on, let's say, the front right and the rear left, or vice versa, I never had to use the anti-slip or put it into full-time four-wheel drive any of the time, and it only depressed the grass that I was on. It never here when I'm pulling into it, if I don't engage the four-wheel drive, when I get up against that the heavy back pile there, now you can see as I'm backing up what happens with the rear end of the unit. You just have to be used to this, and when I go to turn, keep an eye on where the bucket's going to be if you're close to something. So if you're real close to a wall and you're parallel to a wall, what you've got to do is, in order to get away from that wall, because if you just try to drive away, let's say you're 6 inches from a wall, a building, and you want to get away from it, and the wall's on your right hand side. If you just turn your wheel to the left and try to go forward, or go backwards, you're going to bang into the wall as you go. Either your rear end or your front end is going to bang into the wall. So the thing to do is to extend your boom, take the weight off of the front wheels, and then you would turn to your left. I believe that you turn your wheels to the left with the weight off of your front wheels, and that would allow you to get your front end pointed. You then take the weight off of the front end. But again, I've got the boom fully extended. I'm tipped down forward, and there's still a fair amount of weight in the front of that. I mean, this boom is not light. The bucket is. I mean, it's a lighter duty bucket, but there's a lot of weight pretty far extended out there. I think the boom extends close to 3 foot. I think it's like 33 inches. I should know these things. I just don't know them yet. But yeah, this is amazing. Then I can just gently back up. I don't break traction on the lawn there at all. And turn and maneuver. And just so impressive. Really, really impressive. So I'm trying to tease a little bit out of the front bucket there, looking at my rear view mirrors to see where I am. Adjusting. Really an amazing unit, very stable, great traction, doesn't destroy the ground, powerful. When you need four-wheel drive, you've got four-wheel drive at the flick of a switch or depression of a trigger. So, man, so far I'm just loving this unit. So, I think we'll end the video here. I really appreciate you watching. If you have comments or questions about this unit, I'll try to address those in future videos. I'll try not to make these ride-along videos too long for people to be able to see, because I know they're not enjoyable for most people. Just the geeks like myself trying to figure out, if this is a piece of equipment that I'd be interested in or not. So that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, take good care of yourselves, and again, have a good holiday weekend, and let's remember those who fought and lost for us. Take care now. Bye-bye.